There'll be no song today. I dropped my AirPod in the slats of my deck. And I can't get it out. And so, here we are. I hope you can hear me okay. Can you hear me okay? Before I bring other people into this. I just found that AirPod yesterday in a field after I lost it in a field riding my horse. I located it. And here we are again. This is why I can't have nice things. Okay, we have a guest that I have not met tonight. I'm going to let Denise introduce her because I don't know her Instagram handle, so I'm not sure if she's here. If you are here, guest, you can request to join the live. God, I'm just so upset. Denise. I bet Denise has never dropped her AirPod. At all. I bet she has. So how's it going? There's rodeo in Coffeyville this weekend. That's what I got going on. Well, not me. I'm doing the momager job. And don't forget that tonight on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, Dogs Anonymous. If you want to come to the meeting, it's a banger. There's always like crying and laughing. And that is like always a place I want to be. And last week we had like a gratitude meeting. So that was cool. Layla, don't watch my lives. It's weird. You're literally with me all day and then you see me and then here you come in and watch my live, but I'll wave at her. Okay, well, if they're not here, I'm going to start talking about myself. It's a great time to do that. Okay, how many people would be interested in coming to a seminar where Madison and I were speaking? And I don't mean like this is a long-term goal type of thing. I mean, we're starting to do this, and I just want to get an idea of interest. The first one that we're going to do will be in Philly. And it will probably be in, I think, July. Jerri is alive. Me. How far would you travel? Like, Denise's status at some point. Gonna have to do a lot of stuff.
Oh.
I was stalling talking about myself.
And Jerri, it's funny you said that because I thought that from this day forward, we should start every podcast saying either, I want to talk about me for a moment, or do you want to talk about you for a moment? Like, I think we should make it normal to acknowledge that in starting a conversation, one of the two players might not have a lot of bandwidth for, hi, how are you? How's the weather? Like, they need to get to it.
Yeah.
And I think we should just kind of normalize, like, I want to talk about me.
This is our show, Denise, and we do whatever we want.
Yeah, no, I think we should do whatever we want. And I just think that it's healthy to acknowledge that sometimes there is just something burning in your head. And if you don't get it out, then nothing else, like you can't hear anything else because you're just stuck with this.
Yeah.
It could be about anything. Like
it was me losing my AirPod. I was like, are you kidding? Like, the first one rolled and landed and was fine. And then the second one, it went. And I thought, this is really going to put a damper in. I can't think about anything else right then.
Exactly.
I was like, what was that lady's name? Wait, what? So yes, thank you. And then I updated on rodeo and something else. And then now you're here. So now we can talk about you. I'm ready.
I don't have anything interesting to say about me today, except I was a beaver of efficiency. Let me tell you, since noon, I have worked out. I got a haircut. I got my car washed. I processed like 20 orders. I got my dog
so good.
Oh my God. It's like,
Yeah,
wow.
that's been
I
what I'm
mean,
working on recently because I realized how much time I wasted scrolling social media. And the
mm,
telltale sign is by how many messages I send my friends. If I send my friends a bunch of videos,
that's bad.
busted. And I told Chelsea, I said, you got to start, saying something to me. But what I found was I actually can do mostly everything if I weed out the stuff that really was just spent being a voyeur of other people's lives, and not in an observant, curious, meaningful way,
Mm,
in
yep.
an addictive Heidi, I'm going to stay in my house and do drugs and be alone kind of way. That's how we use social media. You guys, when you find yourself sitting on the toilet 15, 20 minutes too long and you're scrolling social media, yeah, you're
Well, that explains a lot. I used to have this young lady who lived with me, and she moved out a few weeks ago. Random kids live here a lot. And anyway, so this one
yeah,
was, she was here for about a year. And she would go in the bathroom and she'd be in there for 2 hours. Now, I didn't want to just ask, but it was becoming problematic
right.
because there's only two bathrooms in my house, right? So then now my kids are walking through my bedroom, their friends are walking through my bedroom to use my bathroom, but I just think, what what did she do in there for 2 hours? And also, frankly, the toilet seat, I don't think is a very comfortable place to just hang out. It's not a
Hmm.
lounge, you
Hmm.
know? I wonder if she was doing social
Yeah,
media and
the other
scrolling.
thing about that is I would do when I first started social media, I didn't know how to create like efficiently, and I would need it to be silent and I would need no
Yeah.
distraction. So I would go into very small rooms that had no windows and I would stand in there for hours at a time, either creating content or answering messages, but definitely engaging on social media. And it did actually help me focus. So sometimes I think it could be that, but most of the time it's because we are doing, listen, if somebody is closed in a bathroom for a period of time, the behavior that they're doing is addictive. There would be no earthly reason, unless you are having a major constipation problem and you need to see your doctor and you need to drink more water, that you would be in the bathroom like that. And I guess unless you, maybe if you were taking a long bath, but that's going to be a one off.
Yeah,
That's not
but
going to
even
be
that, I mean, the water gets cold.
repeatedly.
You cannot
Yeah, and
take
you're a
a 2 hour
prune
bath
when
and
you
you just
come
go to bed.
out.
It's terrible. So I do think there was a little showering going on. But even if you push that to 45 minutes of shower
Yeah,
and beauty stuff,
it's a
and it would
lot.
go night after night, and it's just the weirdest thing. I never did ask. I mean, I could have asked, but I don't know what she's doing, so I didn't want to ask. I will say that I probably spend, I would say, less than 20 minutes a day looking at social media. I don't really
That's
look
so
at social,
good.
I don't
That's
consume
so good.
social media.
I
It
don't
also
mind
just
spending
upsets
time
me and
answering
annoys me.
messages.
Oh, I spend a
I don't
lot of time
Yeah,
answering messages.
I think that part is overall, I think it's a net positive because we are connecting, and we are, I mean, even if the relationship is parasocial, we're
Yeah, no,
still
it's
acting
real.
like human beings. But when I am start there's this one particular influencer that I follow that is just a gem of a human being. I think she's a national treasure. She's just wonderful. Um, but when her stuff pops up, first thing on my feed, there is always this pang in me of like, she's better. She's we are could not be further from different people. She lives in Manhattan. There's nothing about my life that even it's not a jealousy thing because I don't want her life or anything like that. But it's not a pang of like, oh gosh, man, I need to do better. That's going to drive me to do better. It's like being the poor kid and watching somebody come in with a new pair of shoes and they look beautiful and perfect. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that has not helped me. And she's not doing anything wrong. She's being awesome and sharing her life and really putting out amazing stuff that has connected so many people. But it's just for whatever reason right now not landing like that with me. And so I, instead of unfollowing her and being like, I just hid her stuff for a little while because I think about her all the time.
Yeah.
I think about her for a particular reason because of a skit that she does, and it's like truly a service to social media to keep it a happy place. and a positive place. But I just mute things sometimes, and then I unfollowed everyone that I didn't really know and was interested in following them. Or if it's somebody that I don't know, I consistently love their content for either something I love or something I cannot do that I think is just,
Cool.
fascinating. And that's
Yeah.
helped me a lot.
So for whatever reason, Instagram, I assume because I look at it longer, tends to show me accounts that I don't like. So what I mean is I'll see
Wow.
something and I'm having a reaction to it and I want to sit with it. So I'll read what I'm the thing, and then I'll sit and think about it, and then I'll read comments, I'll scroll comments, and then I'll read again, and then I'm trying to decide, do I want to work with this material? Is
Yeah.
this something because I don't comment negatively on people's stuff almost ever. Do I want to do a live and talk about what I saw?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to do, because that's how I process my
Mm-hmm.
distress.
My
Or why
distress.
does this bug me? Like, how do
Yeah.
I feel about this? Why does this bug me? And so then Instagram takes that as, oh, this, you must really enjoy this influencer or person. So I'm going to keep showing it to you. And then I'm like, no, that's not what I had in mind. You're ruining my social media experience. Show me interesting, funny things.
Yeah, you're almost trying to use it as a place to pull ideas and topics, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna get into sensational pretty quick. It's gonna be like, oh, you like that, because you're talking about things that are often controversial. That's so interesting
Yeah.
because
And also,
it's
I
like,
don't
oh, you
like,
like horses. Now
right,
you can like all the horses, and
right.
it's like,
Even
well,
the
I
ones
still
who
want to see some
beat.
dogs.
Like, yeah. Now TikTok, I haven't looked at TikTok in forever, but I had actually gotten TikTok to the point where it wasn't showing me any dog content at all, and I was happy as a clam. It was just showing me funny
Same. My
things.
TikTok there's no dog content on it.
I love that. Oh, are we having a guest? So I do have somebody I could, like, if you give me a minute to go see if she's available, I think she is, because she just asked me if
Ooh,
it was this
yeah.
week or next week, and I said, hold, I'll be right back, okay?
But let's bring her. Look at this. Mid live. Okay. Did anybody have any questions while she's doing that? Oh, Lindsay said something. Oh, and Carrie hiding from young children at the end of the day. Yeah. I mean, like that's the exception. Yeah, you can. You can. Watch out for the hemorrhoids if everybody's going to do that. Okay. Saw a reel of a doctor saying they're seeing a lot more of that because of toilet scrolling. Seriously? Oh, that was so funny. Okay, let's see. I don't know if Denise is back, but I'm going to invite her back in. Okay, what else? What else did you guys say? That's it. I thought you're supposed to have. No, I did. Philly. Ooh, Coco. Hello, Coco. Yeah, we're definitely going to Philly, and it will definitely be this summer. So it'll be all horse stuff. Up until you guys, I always train dogs. Please, like, I always train dogs. I'm always training dogs. I always have a bunch of clients. If you need help, please come to me. Do not let this extravagant horse life distract you. I am a dog trainer. I have to live. Hero! Look at this, Coco. All right, well, Denise can't join, so we might. Oh, no, here she comes. Here she comes. Kidding. April Fool's. She's back.
Well, that took some doing. Where are you going to Philly? I missed that.
So, Madison and I have decided that if we intend on helping people understand what the open-minded approach actually is, that perhaps we should do some, seminars on it
I think that's excellent.
and teach about it and teach exactly what we're doing. And we really would like to get a good practice in, get a little guinea pigs in Philly, some of our girls in Philly and I mean that. Um, before we go to Ireland in October and
Is that where you're going to Ireland?
and present this. And Michael Shikashio's been there. Michael Shikashio and Simone Mueller were there, like what would have been last season. So now it's our turn. And no, Michael's going in May, I believe, and then we're there in October. Yeah,
Excellent.
and so we're going to present that and connect everything together and start making some sense of some of this. It's just
I think that's a great idea.
like
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the books that you've written. I've read the books that you've written. I've read the books that other dog trainers have written, and I think, you know, it seems like such a fantastic way to get a set of ideas down that you can refer back to over and over and over and over to people. It's just these are the phases of development, like as a professional, that we all, including myself, try to rush past. Everybody wants a podcast. Everybody wants a book. Everybody wants a. Oh, we're gonna get cut short by the pure reactive German Shepherd. Oh, he's going inside.
I see you're on your front
I'm
porch. Must be a
I'm
nice
at the
day.
back this time. The front might we might have to go there, but she's going inside. Um, but anyway, it's there's all these things, especially when you have a large platform that people say you should be doing or you feel like you should be doing, and all of it takes time. All of it takes time, and then it takes time to do it well, and then you gotta save room for your failures, and your mistakes. You gotta take, and we don't factor that in when we're dreaming our dreams. We're like, I'm gonna go like this straight to the top. There will never be any deviation. I will go in a linear fashion. And it's like this.
Yeah, that's I haven't had a very linear career,
Well,
but I did write
let's
my
hear. I
book.
want to hear about it.
I did write my books.
Yeah.
Well, about a year before I started writing, a friend said, "I bet someday you write a book," and I said, "No, no way." And I swear to God, a year later, Deb Jones approached me and said, "You want to write a book together?" And I said, "That sounds very scary."
Yes. What do
Yeah,
you mean by scary? What did scary mean to you at that time?
overwhelming.
Yeah,
Like,
overwhelming.
how do you write 300 pages? Like, how do you sit down? Do I even have that much to say? You know what I mean? It was like, but for me, having a second person who had done it before, who was willing to make that, like, we can do this
Yeah.
together, made all the difference. And
Mm-hmm.
we wrote that book so damn fast. It was amazing. And what's really interesting is we went from, well, we're going to talk about, all these things. It ended up being 4 books. It ended up being a 4-part series because there was so much to say and we
Yeah.
never even got to the dog training. So it's 4 books, none of which on how to train a dog, which is actually kind of mind boggling. But just when you get started, like, we need a chapter on motivation, and you start writing and you're like, oh my God, this takes a whole book. So we actually have an entire book on motivation. We have an entire book on
Wow.
play, which is thick.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those 8x11 books, and it's like 300 pages on play. That's all. And I mean, we have an entire book which is huge on focus and engagement. And the first one was the skinniest of them all. And then
Mm-hmm.
I wrote, I don't know how many more after that, like 5 or something. But at first, I mean, that having somebody to work with is so cool. I love it. And like with things like Google Drive, it's really easy because you can work on things
Yeah.
simultaneously. We didn't
Yeah.
have that with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I have a book or 2, or for all I know, 3 in my computer that I never cleaned up, never published, never did anything with. They're just there. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what they're about, but they're in there. And I just kind of, it just died. Like it lit up as fast as it disappeared on me, the desire to write. And now my desire is to talk. So podcast or this kind of stuff, you and me, or just hopping on these random
Yeah.
lives really work for me. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as we know, if you wind me up, I can talk for a really long time. So
Same.
like, wow, I
You don't
did
even have
this.
to wind me up. I'll just do it anyway.
I know most people are trying to shut me up. It's like, I'm more afraid of the duct tape, they're gonna.
Hey, but that I've always been told that too. Like it's always my energy, the talkativeness, and now it's like this huge asset to me that I use it all the time, and I've sharpened it, and am progressing in the way that I can like relay information, orate, and hear. information and even negative feedback, all that stuff gets better and better. And
I agree.
now I think, ha 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 ha.
Oh, I was such a hyper kid, and my mom was like, "You talk so fast, I can't even understand you." I heard that so many times when I was a kid, and in school, talking too much, always in trouble for that.
Always in
Always in
trouble for
trouble.
talking too much. I mean, they would suspend me. They would. My
They
mom
suspend
finally
you.
was like, "What do you want me to say? Like, do whatever you need to do, but don't." My mom said one time to the teacher, "But don't break her spirit. Do whatever you need to do, but don't break her spirit." Yeah, she was uh forward thinking
Yeah,
in that way. Like you,
yeah.
whatever you need to do to punish her, just don't do anything to F her up, because I'm gonna F you up, is how my mom was. My mom was every bit as intimidating as I am, way more, I think. She's unassuming, but she's an intimidating person. But it was really just because I think she knew that there wasn't anything inherently wrong with me. Yes, it's disruptive to the class, but I wasn't really doing anything that was, wrong or bad or mean to another person. So she's just like, whatever. I don't know what you want. What do you want me to say? Keep putting her in school suspension. My grades were fine. So
I think it's something you and I have talked about. It's how you see your strengths and or weaknesses. So growing up, that would have been perceived. I mean, pretty ADHD. I have a lot of trouble with structure. And back then, one, girls didn't have ADHD, so I don't think it even crossed anybody's mind.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, didn't cross their mind to even have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They tested me for learning disabilities though, because I did some weird shit. So they were like, something's not right with this girl. But in the end, just went on my merry way. But
Yeah.
what I perceived as a weakness at the time, like I still really struggle with left and right. I'm terribly directionally challenged.
Layla struggles so much with left and right.
Oh my
She,
God. I have to think every single time I have to think it out.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't, I don't intuitively, I can't do north, south, east, west. I cannot visualize space. So if I like
Okay.
when
That's
we built our
interesting to
garage,
know.
frankly, I had no idea what it was going to look like, even though I had all the papers and everything, because I
Yeah.
just couldn't
Yeah.
visualize. But all of those things, when I was growing up in my generation, it's like, well, those are your things. Deal with it, figure it out. And I became a massive list writer, and I tapped into the side of ADHD, which is the hyperfocus.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was just a matter of finding, I
Yeah.
didn't even know I had so much. I have a lot of hyperfocus, but I was putting it in the wrong directions, because if I'm not interested in something, it's really hard for me to
Oh my
engage.
God. I was putting it in the wrong direction into drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol. You guys, don't do that.
Well, see, I was
I've
doing dog.
investigated the road. It didn't go well.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I was
it
doing
was hyper
dogs.
focusing on that.
Yeah. And I would go to the library. I read every book that was even vaguely appropriate for my age group. I would take 10 books home a week, read them all. But I was supposed to be in
Wow.
school, and I was not. I was reading books. I was doing what I wanted to do. But now I realize that all of that was an incredible strength. One, my vocabulary was through the roof in
Yeah.
my
Oh
age,
yeah.
because all that reading, and I was learning a ton about critical thinking. I
Mm-hmm.
learned structure, how to organize my life. To this day, I'm a list maker. If you tell me something and it's important and I have to remember it for more than 30 seconds, like something I agree to
Mm-hmm.
do, I have to literally stop
Mm-hmm.
and I got to write that down,
Same.
because it will be lost forever.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wait 45 seconds, I'll know I was going to write something down, but I've already forgot what
And
it
it's
is.
gone. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gone. And so what's happened is, once I got that skill, I became like almost the most efficient person, because I get so much satisfaction out of checking things off my list.
Yeah.
See, like some people, they do the laundry. I don't do laundry. I wash laundry. I dry laundry. I put laundry away. That's three different
Oh
things on my list.
yes.
I get to check all of those off. So my
Yeah.
list could be 50 things. It's just
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like, I can't believe some people just have clean the house. I'm like, that is not gratifying. You don't
Yeah,
clean the
Jude
house.
all the time walks into the room and he just stands there and looks at me and he goes, "It looks like an ADHD bomb went off in here." And I'm like, because like the dishwasher's down, all the cabinet doors are open. I'm in the middle. I have one shoe on, but it all gets it all gets done in the same amount of time that another person may do each thing methodically and individually. I mean, it gets done. It's chaotic and it's messy, but
Well, if you're walking through the bedroom because you have to go to the bathroom and you need to get your shoes on, and you pick up your shoe one and you sit on the toilet, you put that shoe on, then you come back out of the bathroom, you pick up the second shoe. But as you're walking down the hallway, you realize there's something on the ground. You got to put that shoe down. You got to pick the things up. Watching me pack for a trip. It's a 4-hour event. It takes me 4 hours to pack a suitcase because every time I visit the house, something else comes up and I get distracted. And then I got to go check that. And then what was I doing anyway? Which is why I've got the list. So I can remember, I'm packing. And then that if you take a mouse to a movie, you know that series of books?
No.
There's a bunch of them. If you take a mouse to a movie, and it's basically an ADHD lifestyle. That's how I read those books. It's just like, first they want popcorn, but then they want this, but then they want that, but then you have to go outside and then you have to get their shoes and it's all right. Let you out. It's that same kind of thing. There you go. I have an ADHD dog too. In the house, out of the house, in the house, out of the house. Because I forgot to sniff a spot. I got to go back. Oh, I was supposed to be out here peeing. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that describes me as well.
I'd love to talk about what the topic's going to be, the one we're not going to talk about because our guest isn't here. If you give a mouse a cookie, thank you.
Yeah. I can see the front of the book now. Yeah, I've seen that.
So the topic that our guest next week is Crystal Wing, and she's an art teacher. She's retiring in May after 25 years, but she's a youngster. You get to retire early. She's younger than me, and she was asking me about how I felt about labels, like dominance, temperament, aggressive. And so she was having
millions of labels that exist inside of talking about animals.
And so she was talking about how she was hearing somebody talk about how they're bad and we should describe behavior and whatever. And we got on the phone and oh my God, 2 hours later, we covered so much territory about art and the art of dog training, the science of dog training, and the emotion of dog training. And how all of these things, it was so fun and interesting. And how, you need the science and you need the information, but at the end of the day, the human brain is so amazing that no computer can duplicate what the brain can do. And the example I use, the one that stands out for me, they have been trying to make a self-driving car for a very long time, a very long time. Way before, Tesla, they still have not made a car that can do what a human being can do. Your Tesla can drive you all over the place, but it can't handle certain things. There always has to be a person driving. And they have made cars that can drive in certain cities like San Francisco or Phoenix, but they can only do those cities. And they spent so much time mapping them out in those cities. A human brain, there's a book called Traffic, which is super interesting. If you believe it or not, a 400-page book called Traffic, super interesting. Hey, hon, I'm on a podcast. And one of the things they talked about is when you try to do things like make a self-driving car is when you realize how incredible the human brain is, because they still haven't been able to do it. And that's because your brain doesn't address individual circumstances. Your brain addresses all the possible circumstances at one time and then makes the best decision. And a computer is very good at if then, but the sheer quantity of inputs that is possible. If it's 6 o'clock in the evening and the shadows are coming so that the tree makes a shadow on the ground, that's a different circumstance. That's not a child in a stroller going across the street. The complexity is enormous. And it just got me thinking about that's where the art of dog training really shines. And that's why practitioners are so valuable, because a practitioner is the one who has taken all those thousands of pieces of data and information that we talk about one at a time as if we could talk about them in isolation, which you cannot. And they take all that information and they can synthesize it in that incredible human brain in a way that we cannot do any other way. No computer can do it. No scientist can do it, because scientists look at individual variables. They can't possibly. And that is why. And so she was talking about her students, and I'm not going to go further with this because I want her here, but talking about the same issue in the world of art, because she teaches art, and how she has these conversations with her students. There's technical aspects to art, but the art itself is so much bigger than that. It's what makes art amazing is when you're able to leave the rules and supersede the rules. And she was talking about her students today versus 20 years ago, and how they're changing in relation to whether they're willing to have failure, that how they approach making mistakes, how they approach being told just give it a shot versus I want a recipe. So I think it's going to be a super interesting conversation.
I can see that in my children, my own children. They all live here with me, but Jude did not live with me full time. He lived in a different home, and I see his what you just referred to. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's because I'm some fantastic parent, but it's because I know all those things that you just said. And I know how important failure is, the acknowledgement of your failures, talking through your mistakes so you don't repeat them, being accountable, being honest, being open. And he has a great dad. I was married to him for a reason. I loved him, and he's always been there for Jude. Different household, conservative Christian household, but just different things going on. And he didn't have the opportunity at the ages that Layla did. And they're two different people. Yeah. Layla and Jude are very different. Yeah. So I want to acknowledge that. But I can see the difference between when you're parented by people who push you to put yourself in situations where you'll fail. And really, and my parents really did that with me. I mean, I just knew I was going to just mess up a lot because what I was doing was really hard and it was a lot of stuff. And I really did learn to get over it. I remember one time I was singing in church, and I was a classical singer, so every time I sang, it was very serious to me. It was about technical excellence. And I was just singing in church one Sunday, and I made a mistake. And I came down afterwards, and I went through the song and finished. But after the performance, my mom was like, "It's fine." No, it was fine. It sounded fine. And my dad snapped at her. "Don't you lie to her." He goes, "She messed up. You saw it, I saw it, and she knows it. Just let it be what it is." And I felt so like surprisingly vindicated. It was like, no, I made a huge mistake. I mean, it wasn't. I messed up on the song. I made what I perceived to be a large mistake, and I was so proud of my excellence and how much I put into it in practice. And when I made that mistake, it was preventable, and my dad knew it. And so he didn't let me run away from, no, that was bad. That was bad. And I noticed that Layla said that about her riding instructor that taught her mostly everything about her foundational technique. She would say very little. She would go, "Argh," when Layla didn't get it right, and she would go, "No, no, one more time, over and over." And then if you did it right, she would go, "Yay, good job." And that was it. She would be going over a jump, and she's like, "I lost my stirrups." And her instructor would be like, "I don't care," back at her. And and it was very like, in this place, you will fail. Period. You are going to fail and fail massively. But when you don't, it's so great. High school rodeo was another place I saw massive failure. I mean,
but
massive
that also
failure,
gets back
and
to
they
the
just keep doing it.
That really gets back to the temperament of the person.
Yeah.
So some people are just they're gonna crumble under that kind of pressure, and like you have to be massively committed to the thing you're trying to learn. Like I can handle that if it's something I care a lot about, But
Yeah.
if something I kind of care about, man, I'm going to be out of there so fast. Like if I'm not getting some kind of feedback, positive feedback. So my husband grew up in the foreign service. So his father was a diplomat. And so he grew up all over the world. And his mother wrote a book about it. And the it was called Married to the Foreign Service. Married to the Foreign Service. It was the perspective of the wife of the diplomat. Because at that time, I'll give you an example. If you had a wife, then everything was fine. If you were a man and you didn't have a wife, the Foreign Service paid somebody to act as the host. But if you were married, then the wife was
Yes.
just, you got a two
I've
for
heard.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she wrote a book about this. And my husband's perspective, as he grew up and looked back, it was a very challenging way to be a child. So you're 3 years in any one space. You grew up in Morocco, and then you go to the Netherlands. Now you're in Africa. You go to Brazil. You're constantly making new friends, new schools, new
Yeah.
language. It's high stress. And he said his experience as he looked around, half the kids thrived. They came out the other side unbelievably tough, resilient. They could go anywhere and get along. And half of them just melted down
Oh, it's
and
just like
couldn't
that with
handle it.
military kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly.
same thing. And
Exactly. It's
I'm
the
a
same.
military kid and I thrived in that environment, but I saw people that it broke. They just couldn't.
And
They could not
my
take it.
my husband was the kind who was able to thrive. He came
Oh,
out the other
wow.
side. I will say this though, he has no interest in traveling. We have been in the same house for 25 years.
Yeah, my
He is
parents
very
are like that. They're like, enough.
exactly. He's very
Enough.
rooted
Hmm.
now. He doesn't want to move around. Whereas I had a lot more interest in like, I want to see
Yeah.
things. He's like, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
see anything anymore. Um, but I think that kind of that mesh between who you are as a
Yeah.
person,
That's a good
what you're
point.
born with,
Hmm.
and the kind of parents you get. I mean, I'm sure for the right kind of kid, like it's just like with dogs. You try to get the right dog in the right home, right? In
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
families, I mean,
Oh,
I can
yes.
totally visualize the kind of child your daughter and we would have been on the same page. I
Yeah.
like to give a lot of freedom. I like to watch somebody make
Yeah.
choices. I
Hmm.
like to be kind of hands off guide.
Hmm.
And then other kids, they just need a lot more. You have to do this, you have to do that, a lot more structure, which is really hard to do because society is such a part of how children are raised. Unlike a dog where you control 95% of their life, your
Hmm.
child, once they're in school, you control a teeny tiny bit.
Yeah.
And the more you try to control it, the more they sneak out their damn window at night. So it's actually very hard to
Yeah.
control a child. So it's like, what is the society they have access to? Who's around? Because they're being guided by a lot. And I can see how my younger child in particular would have benefited hugely from a really structured society and a structured household. And I didn't offer that
Yeah, my
here.
oldest son is like that, and I didn't offer that.
Yeah. And also, I was so deep in the positive reinforcement dog world that I think I made assumptions that are true for dogs that are not true for people. And the biggest one is the fact that with dogs, imagine raising a dog your way, and there's 20 other people who are also involved with your dog equally to you, and you're only 5% of the equation. How you would raise a dog would be
That
radically different,
would be
right? Because,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, imagine if my rule is you can't be on the couch and the other 19 say you can be on the couch. Like you have to start modifying what you do or you're going to be irrelevant to the dog, right? Because everybody else is more interesting, more whatever. And I think that's like this huge difference with kids that you're a tiny fraction. So they've got their personality and then they've got, hey buddy, they've got everything else they have access to, and you're kind of small. You're muted.
The train was going by. I forgot I muted it. I get asked that about Layla, how I mitigate some of the stuff. I just told her the truth about the world. I told her the truth about the world, and then I let her go out in it. And then she has people besides me that she knows for a fact if she calls, they will not only pick up, they will come and get her. They
Yeah.
will. Um, any of her brothers' dads, they're all, they're both going to come and get,
Yeah.
that's completely independently
Yeah.
of me. I don't have
Yeah.
anything to do with that. I have my dad that basically raised her and raised me. So she's got a system around her. But the number one thing is I told her the truth and I let her tell the truth. So
Yeah.
I hear sometimes things I don't really necessarily want to hear.
Oh God. Yeah, I know. It's like, I wish my
Yeah,
parents
I'm
had
like,
it way
ew,
better. Yeah,
gross. I
that
don't know. That boy
I
is
don't want to know that.
that 14-year-old boy is not hot. Gross. I don't care about that. But
Exactly.
other than that, I mean, I told her the truth about boys. My mom told me the truth, excuse me, about boys, but she didn't know boys in the way that I knew boys. My mom didn't know boys like that, right? So, in different time. And I got to see a whole other side of men that I pray to God my mother will never see, like, especially now that she's older. Um, but I told her the truth about all of that, so she
But
knows.
you know,
And
with
I also,
social media, don't you think that because kids learn so much? Like I was like 16 when I learned that adults are no better than children when it comes to good behavior. I was in a meeting and I watched adults behave badly, and I'd never seen it before because I
oh,
was always
yeah.
around adults who know how to behave, and they didn't, and they all
Hmm.
they started fighting with each other, and I was just like, this is stupid and trivial. And
Hmm.
so I learned that adults actually have the emotional intelligence of children. We all do. It's just some of us hold it better inside.
Hmm.
And now with social media, you go on social media and you watch adults behaving badly every 3 minutes. You can't get away from it. The
Yeah.
comment threads are appalling. And I'm assuming those are adults, although,
Yeah.
as we both know, they might be 14-year-olds. So,
It's a lot of adults and 15-year-olds. Yes.
yeah, so in a way, it's sad because our kids don't have the innocence that they're going to grow through childhood and turn into adults. No, actually, you're just going to get bigger. You're
Yeah, you
still going to
just
be a
get
child on the
bigger.
inside. Yeah, you're still going to be emotional. You're just going to learn how to not show your frustration, your anger, your sadness,
Hmm.
your pettiness. All that comes with you.
Yeah.
I think that's sad. I think that's a loss. I think it's better to go through childhood believing that adults take care of things and it's going to be all right,
Yeah,
rather than getting
just as we
there.
were driving up just now with coming home from the barn, Layla made some comment about a person. And I said, Layla, kids are dumb and weird. Adults are dumb and weird. Like, there's no. And she knows that. She's seen adults behave. The horse world is a really great place to learn about how you want to be as a person, because you'll see people that you're like, wow, man, look at that horse and look at their bond and the way they treat it and the way they carry themselves. That's so. And then you see some jackass that you're like, that dude's hitting his horse. I mean, we don't actually really see that very often. I want to be clear about that. I've seen it one time and it was actually a young woman, and I have a video about it on my
Yeah,
page. We
I remember it.
rarely see people doing anything. We see a lot of things, and you and I have talked about this a lot, Denise. What is the line between abuse and what I simply would not do? And I see a lot of things I wouldn't do.
Yeah,
It doesn't make them abusive.
this is
So,
true.
that, but it's a great place for her because we talk about it all the time. We see a behavior, we reflect on the behavior. We see a behavior, we reflect on the behavior. Is it something I want to adopt and strive for? Or is it something I want to be over there away from me and not associated with my name or anything I'm doing ever? And it's been really helpful because there's so much of it displayed right in your face all the time, every other weekend. You get such a large sample size. And when you get a large sample size like that, what I realized was, by and large, people are treating their animals well. They are traveling hours upon hours to sit in an arena for another 2 hours to wait their turn for 15 seconds, for to do a skill for 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, and they fail, and you watch them failure, 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 failure. I mean, you'll have 30 kids fail and one of them does it right. And their faces, and you know that they're going to go back to the trailer and go on with their day and cheer their friends on at their events, and they're going to come back the following weekend, come hell or high water, and they might fail again. They might even be the best and fail. I've seen, that's when it's really sad, when you know that
a girl is running a 20-second pole time, which is great, and she runs a 20-second pole time, but she knocks over 2 poles and has a 10-second penalty. And you're like, wow, so you can actually be the best and you can still mess up? It's just a very humbling experience. I'm just so proud of the kids every time I'm there. I'm so proud of how quietly they sit and how none of those horses know each other, yet there are never any problems. Everybody makes it through. There are no parents down there. There are no parents down there. It's all just teenagers, and the parents were all in the stands. And they have to listen, they have to organize, they have to make way for other people, they have to make sure that their horses, doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's very different than me driving her to school in the morning and dropping her off and her sitting and being shuffled from room to room to room and then coming home and trying to make it to the barn. It's a
Yeah, I think
way different life.
I had dogs were my hobby too. So when I was 13, I was competing. And one thing is kind of cool is there is no teen thing. Adults and kids compete together in dog sports. And I think having a place where you can compete as an equal, even though you're a kid, you're competing as an
Yeah.
equal, was pretty
Mhm.
cool. But I
Mhm.
think it was incredibly valuable to me to have something that had nothing to do with kids, nothing to do with school. And I hope kids have hobbies. I mean, some do, some don't. We all know about sports, right? But there's a lot of people just not into sports, and that's fine. But I hope kids have something that they don't just do, that they think about, that they love, that they go back to, anything. It doesn't even matter what it is, that holds them, because I think it's super, super
Yeah.
healthy. And ideally with a lot of people, the interaction to to show people those things that you're talking about, how people
Yeah.
behave well, how people behave poorly.
I mean, really, if you listen to any comment section on a Western writing post, here come the English writers, abusive and this and that, and I have to say, it's the same thing with gun dogs, not the retrievers. The retrievers, whatever they got going on is out of control. There's some, I don't know, something weird going on there. But when I was with every single time I go to pointer trials, or every single time I go with Brett, who runs 4 dogs at a time, I just see nothing but really good sportsmanship, really good, like, this really deep, deep awareness of how serious what everyone is doing is, how much pride they take in it, how it's a part of who they are. Like, that's the stuff that I have seen. I've seen guys do things with dogs that I maybe wouldn't do, but I also know those guys would cry like babies if anything happened to those dogs.
Yeah.
Like, really, I mean, for my boyfriend to say out of the blue, you know, I'm really gonna cry like a baby when old Jip dies. Like,
Yeah.
that's not something he would say, and so it really, they do love them. They just have a
Way.
different
It's funny
way. Yeah.
you brought that up, because I was going to ask you about field trials, because I've heard about retriever trials, and I don't want to have anything to do with what I've heard about. So I was
I
like,
had a
okay.
really great conversation. I think it's My Dog is Jedi. My dog, maybe that's not the account, but we had a really great conversation about this the other day. It was very eye-opening.
Yeah,
But no,
I've heard
pointer
things that
trials are
stress me
not
out.
like,
I'm glad to hear that. I really am, because it's
I've
not just
never
about
seen a
e-color,
dog.
no
I'm not
e-color.
saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I have not witnessed anything that nothing even remotely close to what I have seen in the pet dog world. But the retrievers, that's different. And Brett also mentioned that that's part of why
Yeah.
he just feels like
Doesn't want to play that
not,
game.
not a
Well, I'm
place
glad
he
you
wants
told
to
me
be.
that. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
curious about field trials. I'm curious about retriever trials too. I just don't want to be in a place where I'm not going to want to be there. That's part of getting older.
Yeah,
I
I
remove
was
myself.
terrified. I remember
I
you
don't want to
said
be
to
there.
me, like, I hope you don't see anything that makes you get, and I was so scared I was going to see something crazy.
And I'm glad you didn't. I
And
really am.
yeah, still to this day, I have yet to see, and even with the horses, um, they seem to be doing what they want to do. They're just trucking along together out there, you know. I mean,
That's good.
they're made to do that. Everybody seems happy. And same with skijoring. I've
Yeah.
seen things that I would not have chosen as a person who has horses and rides them. It's just something I would not do, but that doesn't mean, you
So
know, it
somebody asked a question. I
is.
wonder why there's so many
Oh
kids
yeah,
in horse events and so
Carrie.
few. And I don't know the answer to that question, but there are not very many kids in dog events. And it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because they're so much more accessible. I
Yeah.
mean, way more people have a dog than a horse. So why is that? That I mean, we all know about girls and their horse thing. I was one of those hardcore. That something just gets in your head and you want to be on the black stallion flying. You know what I mean? That and like in real life, if you actually can do that, because I could
Mm-hmm.
not. My parents were not about to buy me a horse. They didn't have any money. That wasn't happening. But boy, I dreamed about that. Maybe dogs were my substitute,
Yeah.
but I don't
Same.
know
They were for me
why.
because my parents didn't have any money either, and dogs were my substitute.
Yeah, I don't know why. But why didn't you do dog sports? Like, were you even aware of them?
Yeah, I was aware of them. Mine was locational problems. Mine was because I grew up in outside of Wichita, and so there was the Wichita Kennel Club, but they would never call me back. They would never call anyone back. They would never. You had to be kind of in their group, or that was it. And then as I got older, I started in an adult, I got a little wiener dog, and his name was Tanner. And I started taking him to actually several obedience classes because there was someone that gave them at the vet clinic that I worked for. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And so I was able to kind of get connected that way, but it was all obedience. And I wasn't really very interested in it. So the only options for me were gun dog hunters, hog hunters, you know, things that would be around here in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
And the
Crystal just showed up. Crystal, I introduced the topic for next week, what we're gonna talk about, and I think people are really interested. So next time we'll have you on and we'll talk about it. That makes me sad that
the
to this
dog
day
world
someone just
isn't
said
very welcoming to
that
youth.
that's
Somebody
so
said that.
disturbing
Yeah,
to
it's
me,
not.
that barn hunt. I'll tell you though, what's that organization? There's another barn hunt organization that does a lot of NASDA, NASDA, so National Association of Scent Dog, I don't know, but super welcoming,
Okay.
super
Oh,
lovely. The
that's
ones I've interacted
cool.
with, they are wonderful and happy and fun and funny. So really cool. And I hope you find places to go with your 13-year-old that are normal, because that's disturbing to me
Yeah.
as a person who's now flyball. We all know they're all about the kids, but flyball's kind of intense. But they love kids there. Super welcoming to kids. They
Yeah,
have 5-year-olds
skijoring's
running
like
dogs.
that. They love kids in skijoring. I mean, the crowd is like, please grow up and be professional skijorers. We're going to cheer the loudest for the kids. You know, like I've seen so many different sports where it's like, wow, the youth is really, this is cool, but I don't see it in North American Scent Dog
Thank you.
Association. That's it. Amanda got it.
Thank you, Amanda. I just, can you put that in the comments of the video? I think you just, oh, so that we'll still be here? Yeah, I think we can.
Oh,
Anyway,
in the,
I mean,
you
I
put
don't
it
know
in the
how
details, yeah.
widespread they are, but they do events at the FDSA ranch, and they are just a really fun group to work with. And they have a lot of different things you can do, and it's super accessible. Like the lower levels, you can practically walk in with a pet dog, like with no training,
I
and
love that because
and
you know what?
succeed.
I always start my clients, not everyone, but especially the clients who have dogs that are fearful, sensitive, lack confidence. We always start scent work because sticking their head inside of these little boxes helps them so much. Like it's the silliest little thing, but
Yeah,
it's something simple that is hard for them
yeah,
that they can look forward to, and then when they do it over
yeah,
and over, you can build on it. And it was because I took a couple scent work classes from my friend and
yeah.
was like, this is really cool.
Yeah, this fun. And it does get hard as you go up through the levels, but it kind of gets you hooked. It gets you in the door. And that's, I think, the big mistake that a lot of the dog organizations made. The entry levels are really tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just, the first level of like IGP, that's no joke,
Right.
There's several minutes of on leash healing, off leash healing, another dog doing a long down, sit out of motion down. It's a lot. I'm kind of loving the idea of having like super broken down. And this organization, I think, did that really well.
Look how many kids used to compete in 4-H. It was a huge thing, obviously, where I lived, but they're proud of those pigs and proud of those cows, and they took it very seriously. I had several friends that were in 4-H, and I was so jealous of them because they lived in the country and they got to have
I
all the
so
things.
wanted to do. I did 4-H. I raised guide dog puppies, and I did the horse program, like you learn
Oh
horsemanship.
yeah,
But I they I didn't have access to a place to keep sheep, and my parents weren't willing to drive me to the barn, that kind of thing.
yeah.
But I loved going to the fair and being around the animals. And I mean, I'm kind of pretty happy now, when I'm up at the ranch.
Yeah, you've got
I
the whole deal now.
Oh man, I go over there several times a day to see if any new lambs are, on the horizon, go check on them. And I just have that side, that kind of animal fascination,
Yeah, same.
Um, and apparently it's still there in my adult version.
I
So
think the reason that I like animals so much is because they're not masking. Yes, they're bringing past stuff with them. Like because I don't want to say like animals can experience trauma and things like that, but like I just always know exactly what I'm getting. You're not going to manipulate me. You're not going to say some weird gaslight thing to me. I'm not going to try to gaslight you because you can't talk. You wouldn't understand if I was gaslighting you. It's like all those things that are done to us and that we do to other human beings aren't there because it's not a human being. And so you get to actually see much more of who you are very clearly when you're around animals. And the more something bad happens or something undesirable happens and I just brush it off and move on, the more I'm like actually know that I'm okay, that I'm progressing as a person because I'm just still like so reactive about people. Like
but
I've
it's
gotten
kind of cool.
so much better, but
Animals, they really do get the simple things. So when I move my animals from one pasture to another, so they're getting new grass,
yeah.
that's happiness,
Oh
right?
my
So
God, I
just
know.
opening up the gate and watching them walk through in lush grass and then finding their new water and
Hmm.
finding like if there's trees or what kind of shelter. And they are a billion% content, even if they were
Yeah.
screaming their heads off the day before because they didn't like their old digs because it wasn't suitable for them anymore. And that instant happiness. And there's something about being around that incredible calm, the calm that comes
Yeah,
from I have
yeah.
enough to eat, I'm physically comfortable, I have
Hmm.
fresh water here,
Being
everything is good. and,
present.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and now there's some babies there, right? So the sheep babies, the lambs, like they race around and they show joy
Yeah.
very much how a child does. They'll do races around buildings and like
It's so
literally kicking up
cute.
their heels, and
Oh,
and it's like all it takes to be happy is your basic
yeah.
needs met.
Yeah.
Whereas people, everything is referential.
Hmm.
Like I'm happy till I find out you have more than I do, right? So it's animals don't have that referential like,
Yeah.
well, you have better grass than the mouthful that I have right now. It's just I'm happy. I have what I need. That's it. Content.
Yeah. Layla and I went riding today and yesterday. We did a really long ride yesterday that had some scary stuff that happened in it, but we came out okay. But today we went on a little shorter ride, and there's just not a lot of things better than being in that beautiful open green field with lush, fresh grass, and you're running through it and you're laughing and your horse stops and eats a big patch of fresh grass and it's perfectly 65 degrees and the sun is shining. I mean,
That's amazing.
it takes yeah, it takes all of that for me to be present in the moment. It takes me doing something that I like and being with someone that I love, and then I can do it really easily. It's the rest of the time that I struggle to like, no, I'm okay right now. I'm actually okay. I have all these things going on. I need to get my list done. But right now in this moment, I'm fine.
I think I never thought about it like that, but I think you just described why I enjoy being around them so much. Because
Yeah.
when I'm around the animals, I'm not doing my lists. I'm just enjoying the fact that everything is status quo. Animals are happy. It's a good day. No problem to solve here right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
just very peaceful, calm.
Yeah.
Whereas once I come home, I don't have anything like that. I can't step out my. I will send you a video of my back 40, and it's just unbelievable. It's the oak trees right now and the long grass, and it goes down there
Oh,
and the creek, and you go down there, and and of course I've got a dog running back and forth.
yeah.
I did the Sound of Music reel
Oh,
back there.
yeah.
Somebody was thinking I was actually thinking you might sing that song on this
I will
on this
next
one.
time now that you've
Thank
said
you.
it.
Please do.
I can sing the whole soundtrack of The Sound of Music if anyone's
I
interested.
I am all for that. I think that would be a great way to that. I would be very present. But so when I go down there with the dog, I have nothing in my normal house, my neighbor house and everything, that compares to that. Where you
Yeah,
just the calmness of the peace of being there, and it's pretty hard to beat.
it
So
is. Well,
yeah,
I'm glad you have it. I'm going to go watch. Oh, I want to end with this story because we were talking about resiliency, personality. So Milo was the last kid to bat. And the reason he was the last kid to bat because his other at bat, he was up there for 2 minutes and he did not get a hit. They're just practicing right now. But there was a coach on the field that every single time he said something good to him. That's okay. Almost, almost. And he did that for 20 pitches, probably. He wasn't the pitcher. He was, I mean, even I was like, okay, let's move on to the next kid. And then eventually the pitcher was like, why don't you take a little break and we'll come back to you. So he went over with that coach that was like cheering him on. And he practiced against the fence with just that coach. And then he came back and was the last batter. So during the 2 minutes that he was epically failing, his whole team was chanting him on, and he still did not do it. And I mean, we all know how that feels. Everybody, it would have been cool if he would have done it, but he
yeah.
didn't, and he had to feel that feeling and move through it. So he went over, he practiced, he came back. When he got the hit, the team just yeah, and he was so happy, and he ran out there, and I was like, buddy, I'm so proud of you for not giving up. And he was like, yep, I almost let my team down, but I kept trying. I mean, it's just he's 7, so it's
I
cute,
know,
and
it's
he's so
adorable.
animated and like, so, he just has so much like feeling in everything he says, and I was
He's your
really proud of him.
son.
Well, that's true. That's true because I'm gonna tell you right now, if everybody had been cheering for me like that and I didn't get the hit, I would have cried. I would have cried. So I was really, really, really proud of him. It was a lovely little moment.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for ending on that very uplifting story. I got
Yeah, let's take our picture.
my little buddy
Oh,
here.
Burrito, do you want to be in the picture?
This is me. All right.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. Oh, tummy workout.
perfect.
What?
Okay, everybody, have a good night.
Thanks for the
Enjoy the rest of your
chat.
evening.
All right. Next week we have our guest.
Crystal.
Yep.
Okay,
See you
bye.
later.